Have you got your hands on a relic weapon or maybe some of the new armor set and ever thought to yourself like, hey, what happens if I ever get a item like that in the future? Might it be, let's say, a $6 welding weapon? And you thought, I'm not going to sell this at all. But not because you don't want to make money, but because Sega won't let you. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today because we got us a interesting interview coming out of a4gamer.net from, of course, technically the front-facing PR person, you could say, which is, of course, Hawaii, which some of you might know as the host of the Headline Stream. He have done an interview and brought up a discussion about the possibility of $6 weapons not being sellable or tradable. It doesn't matter on that end, we can't trade anyway in New Genesis right now. And yeah, let's go ahead, let's dive into this discussion, go over what he have said, as well as some things that may help this in the future. Probably won't, because it's Sega, so it probably won't happen anytime soon. But we will figure this out together. So let's go ahead, let's jump into the interview and get down to this. So like always, I will have links in the description below so you can check out that whole article because they talk about a whole bunch of stuff in this. And there is a few little side tidbit here that actually kind of worth our time to discuss, which we will get to at a later date. Because today, we are talking about the possibility of the $6 weapons coming. So let's go ahead and start off with the exact quote here. As a4gamer asks, in PSO2, equipment of the higher quality could not be sold or traded in personal shop for a while. Will this happen in NGS? For anyone who's not aware, this happened in a bait PSO2 as well. We kind of did not really see it in global that much because of how quickly we were moving in global. But it was a thing in a JP, and this is discussing, of course, will it be happening as well? And of course, Hawaii responded with, and I quote, there are plans to add in items that player will not be able to list in personal shops. I believe that will start with $6 welding equipment. So, kind of implying as of now, it seemed to be $6. It might be later. We will have to wait and see. But nonetheless, it does seem like $6, obviously, in the beginning planning stages here, so we're probably not going to see them to at least probably June or July when we get the net region. But nonetheless, it's interesting to see that as of now, or from his understanding anyway, they are not going to be tradable at all. But as we continue here, and they are making a consideration to ensure that our player can enjoy the challenge of getting our hands on the well equipment available. So this is a little iffy here because we do have a little bit of a distant translation as far of the Japanese translation of this interview compared to the global version of this. Pretty much any if it's not like 1-to-1. But nonetheless, here with that in mind here, as of now, it seemed like at least the ideal, might it be the $6, might it be later on, but it seemed like we are looking at some items that will not be sellable or tradable. So the thing here that is, well, like my curiosity as well as my opinion on how maybe that could possibility get fixed in the future here, which I will get to in a moment. But as far of what is being stated here, as far making the item only farmable, I could see not only for, of course, it being a thing in, bait PSO2 at one point. Of course, as I have stated many times on my live stream, which, by the way, you probably should watch. I stream PSO every Wednesday, right here, 7:15 p.m., so be sure to check that out. But with that being said, though, I have talked about in the past, well, the economy is a big issue right now for many reasons, not just because of, like, WellX and whatnot. But there's a lot of stuff that play into the economy and inflation and stuff happening inside New Genesis. And I could see this as maybe like a way, in one hand, being other than being nostalgic back to bait PSO, but also like maybe a way like, hey, if we make the weapons only lootable, maybe, that will help from people trying to sell them for, multiple millions of dollars, because at least on ship 1, I know relics have been going from 20 million to like 50 million, and in some case, maybe a little bit more here and there. At least, like I said, at least on ship 1 anyway. Maybe that also could be an ideal here, which more than likely, this would probably line more up with not dealing with inflation or selling prices, or, giving a complaint that, have been a semi-complaint of mine, of being how a lot of content in New Genesis, at least when it comes to like item drops and stuff, is kind of pointless at the end of the day, because the way the drop weights are set up, it honestly just easier to just farm up Meseta and just buy the stuff, which can we turn kind of negate, the farming part of New Genesis. But once again, that like my outlook is to eat your own. If farming your thing and you cool with it, you do you. But with that being said, though, it also kind of also come across as that being a way to, I get pre-long content heal, which, like I said, we have seen that pretty much almost from day one in New Genesis in many ways, any if we did have the option to buy the stuff, of just like making you spend, anywhere from a few minutes to hundreds of hours trying to get your hand on, whatever equipment you're going for at the time. And it kind of seemed like this is pretty much just that. Like, outside of nostalgia, outside of inflation, could just be just straight up another way to try to keep playing for longer. But the problem is with that is, of course, how much, like, farming can we do with very little to show for it, especially with, like I said, the drop weight in PSO just not being good at all, and being a horrible experience in more than one way of just trying to get your hands on equipment. And by making a $6 weapon just tie 100% to RNG drops with no other way of getting them is a little frustrating, to be honest here. Because when it comes to how it is right now, is of course you can buy, weapons and armor, and you can get now, like I said, they're fairly offensive, but you still have to hold out for the most part of buying a cheaper pair of equipment, and then hopefully get a drop with a fixer on it later on down the road. It might be when you just going around and you get lucky, and you could just, move over your fix. Well, this time around, that's not going to be the case. So if we do get the $6 being drop only or loot only, we going to get to the point where, honestly, I feel like that quack gonna start showing more so, because not only are you gonna be farming to get an item of that weapon set that you might not any get because of the drop weight, or another item might be a little bit higher for another weapon type that you don't use, or for a class you don't use, and then on top of that, you having to continue doing it for a trying to get the fix you want on it, and this is really, like I said, frustrating and worrisome in many ways. It wouldn't be such a big deal if, like, the majority of the in-game content wasn't already just, running around killing the same thing, hoping for the best. If the drop weight was, like, 1 in every, like 30, 40 enemy, maybe it wouldn't be so bad, but honestly, the drop weight seemed way worse than that, because after hundreds and hundreds of hours of farming and New Genesis, I still haven't got a relic, and I know many other people haven't got items that, would drop normally as well. This, like I said, is frustrating. But with that being said, though, I am hoping with it becoming a thing, though, or, at some point a thing might be with $6 or $7 or whatever it might end up being, if it doesn't get fully dropped at some point, is hopefully the items, even if they're not buyable or sellable, hopefully they will be a, like, middle ground here, because I have been speaking for so long how I wish we would bring back either Zig or mechanic similar to Zig. Well, we can, like, take weapons that we have got might be lower rarity, or might it be, like, other types of weapon in it. So in that case, let's say, as an example, like, other $6 weapon or $5 weapon. Like, well, I get technically $5 probably be more ideal here. Like, if you could, like, get a $5 weapon, break it down, or get some type of currency that we can then use for crafting a version of the $6 weapon that will be, non-tradable. That would be ideal. If the weapons and armor doesn't have fixes on them at all, Elite giving up that little bit of power strength and a little bit of, like, maybe not obviously the best version of that equipment, but something that Elite can keep up, like, fairly, in the loop here, with the possibility of, later on down the line getting lucky or randomly just getting the drop of effect we want on a sick doll. So if they bring back equipment like that honestly might not be too bad at all. Because Elite and then we will have a, like, middle ground way of, unlocking equipment. And we kind of have started seeing this already appearing inside New Genesis with, as example here, what we literally just got with the armor finals and using them to get, like, plus 50 weapons. So we have already, like, a very light making of equipment or upgrading equipment. So hopefully that will happen and the item will be 100% drop only. Something to keep the carrot on the stick, because my biggest worry of moving forward with the ideal is not only, like I said, the fluctuation and irritation that come from, of course, the drop weight, but also to do with, like, the players that literally do not have the time or the will to stay mentally sane to do the type of farming you have to do any right now for, like, relic weapons. I worry about them because this could very much be, especially on the global side, and also not counting how much other types of games are out there, other stuff to, do that will be way more rewarding than this in some way. That could be a stopping point for a lot of people, and not counting the people who are trying to, get the item. Could still be a stopping point for them, mainly just because as the content evolves over the next year with, of course, the new regions and all the stuff that's going to come with all that we know about or don't know about. I'm really worried that the $6 is going to open a time period in New Genesis. Well, obviously, the people who can spend the time or get lucky, one or the other here, will be able to progress so much farther than the more casual player, or which is, the lifeblood of any MMO or any live service game is the more casual players here. And then a more so with the whole mechanic with battle power being locked to, of course, not only weapons and armor, but having it be a, big play into battle power here. And not only could we see power, like, output being drastically different between people who get lucky or farming or people who are casual, is we can also start seeing battle power drastically change. And in return, depending on how Sega do it moving forward, is as we have seen with it, any up to now, hell, any recently with, like, the Dark Fall content, is how Sega have been locking content behind having to be a certain power level. And by having the weapons come in or armor come in, I could see battle power getting out of hand, and then in return, any making content not doable to the more casual player. And that is honestly never a good thing for any MMO or live service. It's like, ideally, you want to keep your player base roughly with each other, or, have the look of, like, hey, if you spend some time, you can, get into that content and affiliate that content. Well, with New Genesis right now being not really about time, but more about RNG, that makes it a little more harder to just be like, guaranteeing, like, hey, you just go kill that monster for, like, an hour, you guarantee to get it, or 3 hours, or by the end of the week, or something, something not insanely crazy. As I'm a walking proof here, and I know a lot of people from my chat is as well, you could spend hundreds of hours and not even get the items. So, realistically, adding a way to unlock might be through crafting, or just straight up changing the drop weights and making it less RNG and a little more consistent, or adding mechanics in to make your chances better than using, like, drop weight items that literally doesn't feel like it does anything. There are things Sega can do in it that will make it better, any with, obviously, the road they are wanting to go down. So hopefully this stuff will get worked out and we'll be fine and we don't got nothing to worry about. But knowing how Sega have been, especially with New Genesis, I can't help but be a little bit worried. And this is a game I want as many people to play, enjoy, and be able to progress. And I'm just a tad bit worried that the way they moving might be stopping that from being a thing happening right now. So, once again, we will see. But I get, let me know in the comment below how you guys all feeling about this. Are you as well as I am, worried about this, or do you, or are you, I get optimistic and think that, they will do something here to make that nowhere near as crazy. Hopefully, hopefully that the answer something will happen here and it won't be that bad. But I'm worried.